I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, helps support the cause. I get everyone involved. I feel like I'm on the ball today. I even felt exempted from the law today. It's like this revelation dawned on me. It's so amazing, helps support the cause.
Let's go. Welcome back to another Nudelberg Daily Huddle. I am Mark Nudelberg. For those of you who don't know me, president of our firm On the Ball. Across the screen from me is Shay Money, director of Making It All Happen. Shay, I see you're prepared to get on the course today.
I am prepared to hit the links a little bit.
I love it. You and Jake are going to be out there with Rob Speranza, and I don't know who the fourth is that took my place, but I will not be.
Potentially Howie, but that has not been confirmed as of yet.
As the president of this firm, I have presidential duties to attend to, such as continuing to drive revenue, and also I need to buy new clubs. So that's on the agenda for today as well, to get to the PGA store.
Yeah, I heard you mistakenly but intentionally left them in North Carolina.
Yeah, correct. They are now the mountain clubs. They will be used every summer in the mountains, and we don't have to take them back and forth. But today's a Friday, and you know what that means. We've got Friday music, which is always great, but it also means we have Huddler in the hot seat, and we have Callie Williams here with us today. Callie is one of those young people that you meet and you go, thank God there is a hope for the next generation. She's got unbelievable energy. She's got a great story. She's already overcome a lot of adversity in her career, works in a family business. So there'll be lots of fun to talk about there. And she was a part of Dad's LinkedIn training at Right Way yesterday. So we'll have lots of great stuff to discuss. But before we can do that, let's go ahead and let's get our Friday tradition music going. And then we'll come back and do our daily affirmation.
It's Friday again. It's Friday from the spot. It's Friday again. It's Friday from the spot. It's Friday again. It's Friday from the spot. It's Friday again.
Okay, daily affirmation. Throw it up there. Let's get our minds right. Every day I am growing and evolving into the best version of myself. I embrace challenges as opportunities to learn and thrive. With each step forward, I build a brighter future filled with endless possibilities and success. I am confident, capable, and ready to achieve greatness. If you don't read that and believe that, then you are a person who has self-limiting beliefs and you are capping your potential. So if you struggle to read that and really own that, then you need to make it a daily practice to throw it up inside of your mirror or throw it up in your car or next to your computer or wherever it is that you get to read it every day, and do that. Without any further ado, let's get into the show because it's going to be a great conversation. So let's get wake up music, walk up music, and then Callie will be here with us.
Wake up, everybody. Get up, get up, get up, get up. We got, come on. Wake up, everybody. Teach a new way. Maybe then now listen what you have to say. Wake up, everybody. No more sleeping in bed. No more about to thinking, time for thinking ahead. Come on. Worldwide, let them recognize from Long Beach to Rosecrans. Bumping and grinding like a slow jam. It's West Side, so you know the road will bow down to no man. Say what you say, but give me that bomb beat from Dre. Let me serenade the streets of LA. From Oakland to Sacktown, the Bay Area and back down. Cali is where they put they Mac down. Give me love. South Central.
Callie Williams, welcome to the show. And it's not every day that you get a walk-up song that actually has your name in the song. And kudos to you for knowing and appreciating that song. Why that is your walk-up song?
Everyone always asks me, when they ask me my name, they're like, "Oh, what's your name?" I'm like, "It's Callie, like California." Or I throw some sort of California song. Like you said, there's not many people have a name in their songs or a song in their name. So I like to switch it up a little bit. But also when I went to school, they always said, when you're presenting, make something that's a wow moment when you first kick it off. So I always love can't
I
go
love
wrong.
that. That is a wow moment. We
Yeah.
don't get a lot of hip hop on this show because of our demographic usually. Nothing against our demographic, just they don't tend to love 90s hip hop. So glad that we got to really break that in. And for me, this is like a tradition now. We've got Knowles back to back on the show a little bit. We had Roberto Aguayo, who was a very successful kicker while we were there. During your time, I think,
Yeah,
while
I
you
was
were
just
there.
gonna say.
Yeah. And so now we get to have you on the show. So Callie, I know you're a Knoll. I know you're the director of sales for Oceans 234, which is a wonderful restaurant down here in South Florida. But give us your story. Where do you come from and how did you get to where you are?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I think you left your clubs in North Carolina on purpose. Two, we'll have to go play when you get new clubs.
Okay.
But so I grew up in South Florida my whole life. Proud to be a South Florida native. I went to school at Boca High, and then I went to Florida State for college. So during my high school career, my mom has always instilled in me that if there's something that you want in life, you will have to go after it. It's not going to be given to you. Don't mind my dog, Maui.
I love it.
Wants to be a part of the conversation as well. But
let Maui on the show. We're all about dogs here.
I know, sweet girl. But going back to high school, had an interesting experience within high school. I lived in Deerfield, grew up in Deerfield my whole life, moved around a couple of times, whether it be in Parkland and then in Boca. When I moved to Boca, it was my 10th grade year. So I switched schools in 10th grade. Didn't really know a lot of people. I think I knew one person at Boca High. And it was a culture shock for me. It was 800 kids in my graduating class. And I was going to a Christian school before that had 20 kids. So it was a different experience for me for sure. Mm-hmm. And the person I want to call mom, just so I can give you my whole backstory. I met the woman I call mom when I was 8. So Danielle came into my life when I was 8 years old. She's not my biological mom, but my biological mom didn't have the mental or physical capacity to be able to raise me and my brother. Mm-hmm. So I'm extremely thankful Danielle came into my life when I did. And she was almost my age when she met me. So, and I'm 27. So that's insane to think about for me that a 27-year-old was taking care of an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. She had no idea, like that weren't hers. She really raised me into the woman that I am today. She married my dad. And we moved to Parkland, and they opened up a new restaurant called The Whale. So my mom was involved with the Oceans at the time. My dad and his side of the family owned the Whale's Rib in Deerfield Beach. So true Deerfield Beach natives. When we moved out to Parkland, when they started
Whale's
their
Rib has unbelievable chips, by the way.
The whale fries.
Never been there. The chips are the most wild thing you could ever experience with any kind of food. Dip it in the barbecue sauce. Just a little tidbit for anybody. Okay, go.
If you're true New England, you got to do ketchup and vinegar.
Oh, wow. All right. See, they don't tell you that when you walk in the door. They just give you the barbecue sauce like it's the thing to do. Ketchup and vinegar. Okay, good to know.
A hack. So we moved out to Parkland. My parents started the Whale out in Parkland. My mom and my dad had a very interesting dynamic where my dad loved the food and my mom loved the financials and the operations of the restaurant. Difficulties that they faced there. They weren't really aligned with how to run the restaurant. So they parted ways. And Danielle, when I say mom, I mean Danielle. Danielle took me and my little sister, and it was a kind of the girls are going with the girls, and my brother went with my dad, and my brother was going off to college anyway. So it kind of just naturally fit. It was kind of a natural flow. We were all together regardless, but at the same time, mom's like, hey, we got to make sure that Callie and Kaden and Cody are like head in the path that we need them to go as kids. Mm-hmm. So I'm really thankful now I can look back at that and saying like, why did we split up? But at the end of the day, it was for the better of us because we were all headed on our different paths.
Sure.
And we had like a little sorority. So it was nice to have, like the girls'
Cool.
house.
Okay.
That was when I was 16. So when we moved to Deerfield, Danielle had met Tony, my stepdad, and that transitioned us going into Boca. So we then moved to Boca. I went to Boca High at that point. Again, I knew no one. Was really frustrated that I was going to a different school, not knowing anyone. Kind of this whole new chapter of my life started with a new family, a new environment, new school. And I think I was just angry just that things were happening
that were outside of your control.
Exactly. And I'm low-key a control freak. I like to have things organized and planned accordingly.
I don't know how you got there. I don't know who would have conditioned you to be that way.
I know, exactly. So Danielle and I, we butted heads for, the latter half of my high school career. And going into my senior year, I just didn't have a relationship with her or my stepdad anymore. We weren't aligned on what I was doing and how they were guiding me, and kind of lived on my own for the last part of my senior year. That being said, going into my sophomore year, she was like, if you want a car, you have to buy a car. If you want to go to college, you have to pay for college. So that whole high school transition was me working my butt off, saving money, putting money away, understanding, okay, how much am I going to have to save in order to go to the movies with my friends on Friday, right? Knowing that I have to.
You learned life.
Yeah.
You learned life.
Exactly. So it was a wake-up call for me, but it also taught me how to be so independent in that experience.
And like all true high performers, you then chose to go to Florida State University because that's what high performers do. And you spent 4 years there. And I kind of want to fast track us a little bit to your experience with CBS.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
your experience in a startup environment and the business that you ended up getting into.
Yeah, so Florida State was incredible. My experience there was absolutely amazing. I was in sport management, did sport management and communications, and I think that experience led me to my time with the Miami Dolphins and working almost 3 years with the Miami Dolphins, seeing events like the Super Bowl come into play, working the white glove at the Super Bowl with the LA Chargers, which I was like, what? This is an insane experience. Understanding corporate partnerships and sales and activation and how all those things come together, but also understanding the production side of things of radio ads and TV ads, making sure if those ads don't go in, it's just a blank space that someone sees or hears on the radio or television. So knowing that was on me I think I actually have PTSD from it because I was so nervous on game days that an ad wasn't going to run. So that was my time at the Dolphins, and then transitioned to my time working with Sport Fishing Championship. Actually met my mentor, who is now the CEO of SFC. He's a Knoll, Mark Neifeld. I'm sorry. Mark Neifeld, he went to Florida State, and he was kind of my mentor. When I called him one day, he was like, what do you mean Callie Williams is a free agent? Like, you better come work for me right now. So seeing his vision, and it's the idea, the concept behind it was he wanted to create the Formula One of offshore fishing. So it's like if the PGA Tour, the FedEx Cup, and F1 had a baby, this would be it for offshore fishing. At the time, I was still at the restaurant too. I was looking at the water.
I will tell you, as not a fan of it, sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, who cares about offshore fishing? You know,
exactly.
what I mean?
Until you see it, right? Until like you're in that space and you see, a 700-pound marlin just chasing after the bait, and you're like, whoa, this is insane. And I didn't even know this was, a couple miles offshore. So, to go with that, though, we were, 12 tournaments, and it was cumulative. So the more tournaments that you're a part of, the more points, the more fish you catch and release, the more points that you garner, and all in a championship in Puerto Rico. And that's to say, we worked with a production company that put together Bassmasters. So a lot of the people that are in that space know Bassmasters. It's been going on for years and years, and they do a wonderful job. But a 12-pound bass versus a 700-pound marlin, you can't compare
little
those two.
different, a little different.
Absolutely. So
I want you to dive into that story a little bit, because the thing that I loved most when you told me about it was the way that you were just kind of all hands on deck in that experience, and that you were understaffed and you were a part of a vision that was somebody else's vision. But as a true intrapreneur, you took it on as your own and did a lot to make that successful. Can you talk about what that experience was like, building something from scratch and doing something that you had no idea really how to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, I believed in the vision, understood where Mark wanted to go and how to get there. Kind of just was thrown into this operation role. I told him, anything you're working on, send it to me, let me work on it, and I'll try my best, right? Understanding that hospitality is kind of a theme here of, being able to work with people, to talk with people, and just understand what people need in a specific scenario. Taking it tournament by tournament and understanding, all right, what are the goals of the tournament? What are the goals of our company? And how do we make those align? And then breaking it down into a process, creating something that may work for this tournament, but it's not going to work repetitively, right? So every tournament's going to be different. The location's different. The weather is going to be different. The people there are going to be different. And being able to be flexible in each one of those processes that I then created was going to be super important for me. So even though I created a structure into this role, that second year that I was with them, I had to refurbish everything, change up how we were doing things. And yeah, I was the second person, quote unquote, hired for SFC. So we were a 3-man crew doing sponsorship, activation, operations, and then putting it on live television. So, and then
getting better. Getting better than that.
Right. And then we were running a team of 20 on the ground, where we had 12 camera operators, 5, production crew, and then 5 operations people. And you're like, whoa, this thing came to life. But being the person who's always on the walkie and saying like, hey, this is the run of show today, guys. Like, it may not go this way. We have to have that flexibility of, there's going to be a storm that comes through. The guys are going to come back. A boat's going to break down. Like, having those kind of flexible moments and being able to be quick on your feet to make those adjustments was super important. And I think sports kind of helped me with that. And also working in the restaurant growing up helped me with that.
I was going to say, like, how much of your upbringing in terms of moving, in terms of going into a high school where you didn't know anybody, growing up in the restaurant business and being a part of a family who made the kids a part of the business and they were a part of that, like, you have to think that conditioned you for that environment, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think one of my quote unquote superpowers is being able to manage multiple opportunities or prioritize different projects at once. And I do think my experience growing up, whether it been moving a lot, it'd be transitioning into different places, different schools, just having an understanding of like life, things are going to happen to you and that's life, and not utilizing it as like a poor me moment, but capitalizing on it. Like, this is an opportunity. This is a chance to like start fresh, or, just work on something differently and think about it in a different light. And I think that's something that I always take to, everyday life,
which is interesting because you didn't take that perspective at 16. Yes, right? You were angry and I don't understand, and this isn't what I want. So you had to go through that in order to see the other side of it and go, oh, okay, maybe I should look at this differently. Right. So do you look back at that 16-year-old self and go, you were an idiot?
Yeah, I was kind of like, you're kind of an asshole. But I do say, like, just the experience side of like, if I didn't go through that moment, I wouldn't be where I am today, or any of the obstacles that I faced, back in the day. And it's like, I don't think of it. I think of it as an opportunity more so than anything.
So speaking of where you are today, you took the route into family business that I think most people should take if it's going to happen, which is don't go into it immediately, and then do your own thing and build your own persona and build your own, backing or career and experience before you enter into working with your parents. But now you work with your mom, Danielle, right? And so what has it been like going from that startup environment, which is family-like, but it's not family, it's still
Right.
different, to now being in a family business. What's that shift been like for you?
Yeah, I think something that my mom has always said is that you don't pick your family. Your family are kind of just given.
That
You
is
do get to
fact.
pick your team. So you get to pick based on their skill set, based on their experience, and you're chosen on the team for certain reasons. So when my mom had asked me to come on board to work on Oceans 234 and hopefully the new place that we're going to be opening, I was like, you want me on your team? Like, this is one, I never thought that you would ask me to be on your team. So I knew this was a substantial, experience for my mom, but also for me to say, I've made it. I've put my time and work in the last 5 years to show mom that, like, I'm doing it, and I'm doing it really freaking great.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So
And
it's
then go ahead.
I was just saying, to be a part of her team, she's built an incredible program at Oceans over the last 16 years. And to be a part of her team that have been with her, some have been with her for 5. We have chefs that have been with us for 12 years. So I think that's a testament to the team that she has built, always looking at ways where she can better ourselves, whether it be through training or understanding, our relationships in the restaurant. So to learn from that experience is huge for me. I don't think I've gotten that in the last 5 years of, like, truly developing myself as a person to be able to then have an experience for our guests and our clients. That was something that I really wanted to learn. And then the operation side of running a restaurant from build out to open.
Yeah. So there's a lot that feeds into your success in this role now: process development, adaptability, guest experience. What are some of the fundamentals that you're carrying with you now into this new project, which is the new restaurant, but also in operating in Oceans 234? What are some of those fundamentals that you're carrying with you into these new projects?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, it's about the guest experience, right? So everyone, I think, just wants to be acknowledged, whether you're acknowledged by name, you're acknowledged by who you are, what you do, or why you do it. That acknowledgement factor goes so far. And I think that's what I bring to the restaurant or in any other, program that I've done in the past. But, like, just acknowledging a guest is super important. And then taking it that next level of a customer experience. And, whether they come in 3 times a week and that they always order the calamari, having the calamari ready for them at the table when they sit down, they're like, how did you know I like calamari? Or it's just the little things that go so far when it comes to that experience.
Well, for instance, Blair, you took care of Blair yesterday.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's awesome. Blair was there last night. Let's get some overtime because people are calling for overtime. Jonathan Aarons wants us to go over. So let's spend a couple minutes here going overtime. Shay, give us overtime.
And we'll go to overtime.
So I want you to talk about how you do that systematically, right? Like, because you're a very process-oriented brain. So when you have guests who are regulars, how do you systematically train yourself, the system, and everybody that this is what needs to be done when those people show up?
So I think it's a certain levels of a process standpoint, right? But there's also that knee-jerk reaction of, like, we have to throw an audible here.
Yeah.
So there's systems that we put in place with the applications that we use. We have a program called 7 Rooms that allows us to track our reservations, who our guest is, and understand what our guest journey is. And I also, anytime I meet someone, I put their contact in my phone. You tell me you like vanilla ice cream, I'm putting it in my phone. Like, you like vanilla ice cream. So when you're at the table, I'm putting a vanilla ice cream and a sparkler in front of you. So there's we'll get with Unreasonable Hospitality said it best: be a dream maker. And finding those ways that you connect with a person that goes beyond just the conversation is something that when I walk into the restaurant, that's what I want to do. I want to be a dream maker for people. I don't just want to know where you're from. I want to know, what your favorite thing to do in Michigan is. How do we recreate that in South Florida? Or if it's raining, how do we make sure that you come back on a sunny day, you go paddleboarding with IWS, and you come back to eat at the restaurant?
I'm going to tell you that that's where we're going to end the show, because that comment that you just said, be a dream maker, that is a philosophy that should transfer to everybody in customer service. Doesn't matter. B2B, B2C, restaurant, retail, copier, I don't care, right? If you are responsible for somebody else's customer journey with an organization, be their dream maker. Figure out what makes them tick and provide that experience for them. And you make a fan that never goes away and loves you forever. Unbelievable mic drop moment for you on the show. You're 26. There's people who are 50 who don't understand that or who don't do it. So, Callie, number one, thank you for being a Knoll and representing our Knolls so well. Number two, thank you for sharing your story with us. If people want to connect with you, if they want to have a conversation with you, they want to come visit Oceans 234, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
LinkedIn, one, always send me a message. Make sure you put your message so I know who you are and why you want to connect. And then we can go from there, hopefully set up a virtual coffee, see if it's a good fit for us. And then we can go
like
from
a
there.
well-trained on-the-ball trainee, just bang, 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 systematic process. Callie, excuse me, have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. Everybody in the Nudelberg Huddle, remember, TGIS, the grind includes Saturday and Sunday. Just 1 extra hour on Saturday and Sunday gives you 1 extra % of work on the year. Go get after it. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Let's get down to business.
Appreciate you, man.
Please don't worry about me. I'm about to let my heart speak. My friends keep telling me to leave this. So let's get down to business.